What's up, space pirates? This is your Admiral, the certifiably suave Dr. Disaster, and Nintendo is proving that they really aren't any smarter than any of the other video game makers out there. For years, I always gave them the benefit of the doubt because the focus of their games has consistently been on fun, which is definitely better than focusing on shit like this.
I can't tell you how free I feel now that I've started identifying as a woman.
In this way, Nintendo has been a step above a lot of their competition, and in fact, I know a lot of people out there dislike that Nintendo systems are generally quite a bit less powerful than their Sony and Microsoft counterparts, but I personally never really cared about that because a lot of the time these days, PlayStation and Xbox games spend most of their time, it seems, worrying about graphical updates, about making sure that I can see every last whisker on a character's face if I zoom in, but that isn't fun. That isn't the point of a video game. But despite Nintendo making choices that I generally agree with over the years, these idiots are now showing us what they're really made of.
Are you stupid or something?
Yes. No.
As everybody knows by now, Nintendo has been in hot water ever since last week when they announced the pricing of the Switch 2, and more specifically, people are upset about the $80 price tag on some of their games. Public pressure has been immense, with people hopping into their treehouse chats and spamming "drop the price" over and over, to the point that obviously Nintendo understands that gamer sentiment is very much against them. Well, it just got worse.
Worse? How could they get any worse? Take a look around you. We're at the threshold of hell!
First of all, Nintendo went ahead and announced the Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which is basically an instruction manual on how to use the new tech for the new system. It ought to come free with the purchase of the system, of course. That is what a sane company would do, but instead, these greedy SOBs are asking $10 for the freaking instruction manual. That is beyond the pale, and I simply cannot defend it. And to top it all off, rather than tell gamers, hey, we hear you, and we are considering our price points, instead, an executive for Nintendo of America recently sat down for an interview and explained to us why we are going to be paying the extra money for their games and why we are simply going to have to just deal with it.
Listen to me now.
No, I don't think I will.
Alright, me hearties, make sure you hit the like button on this video in order to drive away the evil algorithm monster, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and don't forget to follow me over on X, or Twitter, or whatever you want to call it. I keep a list over there of games lousy with woke crap pinned to the account at all times for your reference. My handle on the platform is Dr. Disaster 1. But anyhow, let's talk about this Switch 2 situation and why even I am pretty annoyed at their greed now. As I've said when previously talking about this subject, what really outraged me this past week was the disincentive for people to buy physical media by making it cost more than digital media. I am a big proponent of physical media, and I want to push back against digital as much as possible. Well, now the price of things has crossed a line to the point that it is easy to see the excessive greediness of the company. This Switch 2 Welcome Tour nonsense is extreme bullshit. For years, people like me, who have been collecting games for decades, we have been pounding our fist on the table asking for instruction manuals on games again. But rather than listen to gamers and the crux of our requests, Nintendo simply heard what they wanted to hear, an opportunity to make an extra buck by giving us what we want, something that came for free with every game and console. They are giving it to us again, but now they want to charge us $10 for a digital manual. This is beyond infuriating and really speaks to what Nintendo thinks of us as customers. They think we have a bunch of extra money just lying around to give them for some BS. They were once the cheapest platform to play games on, and that was also a part of their overall appeal. Oh, and another little tidbit that just came out, which I'm not happy with, is the fact that the Switch 2 will not have achievements. It's not the end of the world. I know some people don't like trophies and achievements and that sort of thing, but I do, and I enjoy being incentivized to do off-the-wall shit in games, and it would give me a reason to go back and play a lot of the older games. I think it would be fun, but Nintendo refuses. But on that note, Nintendo also refuses to listen to gamer feedback on their prices. Let's look at this interview from the Nintendo executive. It comes to us in this article from IGN. The article says, Nintendo has insisted Mario Kart World justifies its shock $80 price tag in response to controversy over the $10 hike for some Switch 2 games. Last week's Nintendo Direct revealed the Switch 2 and launch title Mario Kart World, but it was not until after the showcase ended that the price for both products was confirmed. And of course, that was by design. They were hoping that the hype people felt for the Switch 2 would be built up to such a degree that the price change wouldn't be a big deal and would fall through the cracks. Well, they were wrong. But reading on, the Switch 2, out June 5th, currently costs $449.99, although Trump's tariffs, which have already delayed pre-orders in the US, may cause Nintendo to hike the price. The real shock, though, is that Mario Kart World costs $79.99, $10 higher than the most expensive Nintendo-published game on Switch, Tears of the Kingdom. I really love how these so-called journalists at IGN just can't help themselves. They have to try to get the political points jabbed in there. Notice how they say the tariffs may cause Nintendo to hike the price. You know what else might cause price hikes? If an alien invasion lands on Earth, and then the aliens march up to all the world leaders and insist that people pay another $100 or so for the new Nintendo, that may cause Nintendo to hike the price. But since it actually hasn't happened, I see no good reason to include it in any analysis. But IGN can't help themselves. They see this Switch 2 controversy as a way to score political points, so they're gonna do it. But anyways, let's skip down past the article's preamble to the actual interview where it says, in his response, Trinan, an executive at Nintendo of America, insisted Mario Kart World justifies its price tag and pointed to the upcoming dedicated Mario Kart World Nintendo Direct, where fans will learn more about the game and what it has to offer. I would say it's less about the strategy of pricing Mario Kart World. It's more just whenever we look at a given game, we just look at what is the experience and what's the content and what's the value. Mario Kart World, I think especially as you see from the Nintendo Direct, not to give you any hints or anything, but I did read your article this morning, and I think you had mentioned that you didn't find a lot to discover when roaming around, so I would say tune into our Mario Kart Direct to see what maybe you'll be able to find out about that. But honestly, this is a game that is so big and so vast, and you will find so many little things in it to discover, and there's still some other secrets remaining that I think as people end up buying and playing the game, they're gonna find this to be probably the richest Mario Kart experience they've ever had. And then IGN asks him about the price of Switch 2 edition games. In other words, games like Breath of the Wild, which were originally on the first Switch and which are now $80 on the Switch 2. The article says, Trinan's answer here echoed his Mario Kart World response, pointing to the value Nintendo sees in its games. Well, again, what I would say is that we just look at each individual game, and we look at the content and the value of that game, and then we say, what is the right price for the value of this entertainment? What I would probably counter to some of that is that really what you're looking at is for the Nintendo Switch 2 edition. That's the physical price for somebody that has not bought the base game. For somebody who has bought Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild, the upgrade packs for those are $9.99, and if you happen to be a Nintendo Switch Online and expansion pack member, both of the Zelda upgrade packs are inclusive within that membership, so there's no additional charge for those. But I think overall, our general approach is really just focus on what's the content, what's the value, and what's an appropriate price based on that. In other words, the price is the price, losers. If you want our products at Nintendo, you're gonna pay for them. I mean, what the dude said was a whole lot of words to simply tell us that the price is the price. They evaluated the value of these things and decided we were gonna pay more whether we like it or not. So, we'll see what happens, but it doesn't sound like Nintendo is interested in listening to gamer feedback on this issue at all, despite the overwhelming sentiment against it. Sure sounds to me like when I said the other day that Nintendo was using the tariff situation as a way to deflect anger, it sure seems like I was right. But I'm gonna leave it there. What do you make of all this? Drop your thoughts into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.